Hi, this is Debbie. Welcome back to Cheyenne Life. And what you're looking at right now is a little bit of some herbs out of my garden. I am drying some thyme. That is some of my elf thyme that I have shown you before, right here. I managed to get a lot of it out of there without getting so much of the dirt and things, because this is a creeping thyme, so it is very, very close to the ground, and it's kind of hard to get the thyme without ending up with a lot of roots. That's why I've went ahead and started a different type of thyme, and we'll just use this mostly for, well, just having a little bit of cover in the flower beds and stuff. So that is my elf thyme that is drying right now, and it was only a very, very small section because I have so much of this. I have two different patches. And then I've got some dill. I had went in and harvested some of my dill, and I have this drying right here. And what I do is I'm just laying it in I call it a flat box, because it only has about a 3 to 4 inch lip on it. And I just lay it out as flat as I can and let it dry. I could probably spread this out a bit more if I had a little bit more room in here. But then what I do is I come in every day and I turn it. I turn it or spread it out a little bit and just let it dry. We have very low humidity here in Cheyenne, Wyoming, so it makes it pretty easy to dry a lot of your herbs and things without having to have it in a dehydrator or hanging it or anything like that. But occasionally I still do hang herbs in a traditional method to let them dry. And I also have some lavender here, now that I know that that is a lavender out in the herb patch, because this plant was actually in that herb patch when we moved here. And we moved here 6 years ago. So that is the lavender. Went ahead and harvested that. It has some of the flowers attached, which are drying as well. I think it's just going to be a little pretty addition to having it dried. So that is drying there. And then we have some of my chives. This is out of my small little chive patch. And I come in about, every couple of months or so and trim them back because they get very, very long. And then I just put them in this container to dry, and then I do the same thing. I just constantly, every day, come in and turn this from bottom to top and let it continue to dry, and they dry just fine. They look exactly like the freeze-dried chives that you get in the store without all of those chemicals and things. So that is that, and that's a little bit of the harvest that I have out of the garden so far. Not really so many vegetables yet. And what else have I been up to in the garden? Well, I have been still cleaning out some more of that black landscape fabric, as you can see here. Just little bits and pieces in this section because I've taken so much of it out already. And I went ahead and planted some turnips. So I have rutabaga, or swede as they call it in the UK. And now I have some turnips in here as well. Hopefully they'll get quite large. I'll have to thin them out because they did come in very thick, and this was just a little 20-cent package from the Dollar Tree of the American purple top turnips. So we have those there that I have just planted a few days ago, and they're already up. Now this is on the other side of my walkway into the main garden, and I did show in a previous video where I have some beets that are growing in this section with the rutabagas that are along this side. And I did go ahead and transplant those cabbages. You can see 3 of them on the edge of this little bed. And then I replaced it with more beets in that square patch that they haven't came up as yet. They were only planted 2 days ago. So I should look forward to seeing them start coming up either tomorrow or maybe the next day. I've gotten a 3 to 4 day germination out of the beets. And these are I want to say the early top beets, along with these, I believe, as well, or the Detroit. I planted 2 different versions. Either one of them are fine, and did go ahead and get some of the dirt all situated here in the carrot bed, and did plant more carrots that are in here. So that's why you're seeing the ground so wet right now, because I'm keeping it moist to go ahead and get the carrots germinating in here. And I believe I planted the Danvers half long this time, and these that are already up and pretty tall are a rainbow carrot variety. So that may be why I've never had very good germination on the rainbow carrots before, and that may be why that it's wasn't very good germination to begin with. And this actually makes the third time that I've planted these. When we had the hailstorm and there was so much rain, it killed out a lot of the seedlings that had just came up for the carrots. So we have those there. I did go ahead and plant some more radishes to fill out this section over here, and they're coming on. So we have those 3 sections that are just getting to work in the garden. And you can see here the dill that I harvested. I had cut it off, and it's actually already, let's see, it's only been 3 days since I cut that and have been drying it, and it has already started filling out again because it was trying to go to seed. As you can see, there's a couple of seed heads already on it. And that's what happens when you have dill and it's going to seed, is when you cut it, it will still try to go to seed. And so you just kind of battle it going to seed. Now eventually I will let it go ahead and go to seed because I want to save the seeds for next year. But that has been a very productive little dill pot. Also, I had mentioned that I wanted to go ahead and get the 3 broccoli plants that were kind of shaded, and as you can see here, I have the broccoli that I have up front in front of the rutabagas, and it's just absolutely huge. In fact, they're probably getting ready to set heads. And then I had those that were in the back, and I went ahead and transplanted those up here to the front. They've already started filling out quite a bit in size. So I have those 3 up here. And then I did go ahead and transplant as well a snowball cauliflower that I had started from my own seed, and it just kind of was shaded and didn't really do anything yet. So went ahead and got to transplant it out here. We'll see if it does anything. I'm not sure if it will or not, but at least it has a chance. So we have that, and then I went ahead and that little spare area where you see just a little bit of lettuce that had came up. It didn't germinate very well, so I went ahead and planted a different variety in here, and it's more of a sweet mesclun mix instead of the spicier blend which I have on the left side. So I went ahead and have that in there, and I also wanted to show that the spinach has just been by leaps and bounds getting ready for me to, right now I could harvest baby leaves of spinach, but I'm going to go ahead and let it get a little bit larger. And I think that this is the giant noble. So if I wanted to thin it out even further to having individual plants every couple of inches, then these would get quite large. But I don't really like them when they get that large, so I'm going to leave them as they are right now. And it's just a beautiful row of spinach. And I will most likely create another row here soon and get some more spinach started. And I did go ahead and thin out the fennel, which didn't like me thinning it out too much. As you can tell, a couple of it laid over, but they're now starting to pick back up. They looked really terrible when I first thinned them, which was a few days ago, but they're now beginning to pick back up. Some in the back already standing up and filling out. So I look forward to having that. I haven't grown fennel before, and I might actually grow more of it in the future, maybe the longer row, because I really like fennel. I like to bake it or roast it with garlic and balsamic. It's really delicious. And then I did go ahead and trim some more of the lower leaves on the cauliflower, and they are just looking beautiful. Big, beautiful plants. So they have really recovered from the hailstorm. I just really hope that they set heads, which is the next step in that process. And as I had mentioned, along with Suburban Homestead or Wyoming, Arizona, about the peas and keeping more plantings of them. As you can see between the 2 rows of peas, of the older peas that I have here, I did go ahead and plant another row of peas, and then I will continue to plant alongside the other rows within a couple of inches. So we will have peas that just keep on coming on. And you see a toy that's tucked in the peas there. Probably my grandson's. Anyway, I have some more cucumbers that are coming up here, and I did plant some squash, but I'm not seeing any really germination in them, so they were some older seeds that I have, so I'm not really sure if they'll come up or not. But that's okay, because I still have plenty of squash, as you can see here, coming on. I have 3 rows going on that are kind of separated, trying to prevent cross-pollination of them. And as a surprise, I did start setting tomatoes just a few days ago, and the plants are really beginning to fill out now. These are the super sauce tomatoes, and setting some fruit. So each of those plants are getting really big and setting fruit, as well as the Black Prince did go ahead and set a tomato, and the tomatillos are beginning to get some of their husks already on some of their little tomatillos. Still waiting on the other 2 super sauce because they were a little bit younger than the other ones, but they are blooming, so I look for them to set fruit very, very soon. And then I did thin out my red curry, and some of the tomatoes I went ahead and trimmed some of the bottom limbs off of them, the younger tomatoes, and everything is looking great. So that's a little bit of an update on the tomatoes and setting fruit, and some of the seeds that I have planted. Oh yes, and I did plant, as I had mentioned in another video, some more lettuce, and you can see all of that lettuce coming up there. It's underneath the trellises for the cucumbers, and the cucumbers are now beginning to put on their extra leaves, and I'm looking forward to them climbing the trellises as well. And all of the beans and everything are just looking fantastic, beginning to get runners on them, and we'll start climbing the trellises here soon. So like, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you'd like notices on new videos as they come out, and grow wherever you can, and be sustainable if it's possible. And we will see you in the next one.